Hey, look,
Hello.
we have a new team member.
Yeah, yep, this
So,
is our new team member.
explain what we're looking at here, Matt.
We're looking at MetaHuman, a new built-in plugin for Unreal Engine that allows you to take different bodies and reconfigure them and basically a character creator for your game. And I'm gonna turn off my camera because it's not lighting up. But uh yeah, so you're able to kind of just set what you want. Different body types. And
So it's literally like a
and
camera creator, a character creator that you would use in a game. Well, now it's getting a little bit more weird, right? With drag points and stuff. But
yep,
basically,
that's
like
actually
they're
yeah,
like, hey, let's make a model creator that's basically a character creator that you're already used to making.
yeah, exactly. So it and the cool thing is that there's an auto rig button, so it even rigs the assets for you so that you can actually use them.
Right.
Um, they all use a base rig, so it's nothing fancy, but it has all the bones that you would need. And when we say rig, we mean skeleton.
Right.
Uh, for those of you who may not know. Wow. Yeah, they have a ton of defaults, and there's ways to create custom ones too. But right now, I'm just kind of exploring. I really haven't played with it too much, and I kept seeing how amazing it was, and now I am a believer.
Go back to the skin tone.
Material skin.
The skin tone. I'm just curious if it gives you the whole color wheel.
It does not. It gives you the.
No,
It
can't
gives you
make
the.
blue guy.
No, it doesn't look like. I mean, you can if you put a shader on it, right?
Right,
Anything's
right,
possible.
right. Right, but I was wondering, like, like it's video games, man. I just always want to go completely out of the box. So it's like,
Make
can I
make
be
a purple
green?
alien.
Right? They got some freckly stuff going
Yeah,
on.
that it's really interesting actually. Now that you say that, why wouldn't they? Like, if I wanted to create an alien in this,
That's
maybe
step
makeup.
two, probably.
Well,
I
how
mean,
much how much makeup am I allowed to apply? Not much. It looks like.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's really good. So yeah, so that's what I've been playing with a little bit today, on top of all the other bullshit I've been doing.
Cool. Yeah, I watched a video on that last night and was like, that's pretty wild stuff.
Dude, it's mind blowing. Like, I'm actually gonna share again because I want people to see this.
And I've been playing around
Look at this hair.
with water.
I don't know if I'm the. Can you show my screen?
Oh, sure.
Like, guys, like, look at this hair. Like, I'm just zoomed in. Like, this is blowing my mind a little bit. That
Yeah, it's crazy
looks
town.
it looks
It's
real.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just messing around. Um,
And it does mocap too, right? Like there's some way
yeah.
that like I can just use that as a face avatar eventually, right?
Yes. So that's fully integrated. There are there are full motion capture um, built-in plugins. So when I say built-in, I mean built by Unreal
Right.
themselves,
Right.
built by Epic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Um,
because I've fooled around with a couple of things that as long as I have my glasses off, it will map my face and do the avatar in real time. So you can act, right? And record what you're doing.
Yeah,
which is great for like if you're doing a close up like this and doing a conversation, right? Um, you can get some really good capture. If you're doing cutscenes or whatnot. Um,
right.
maybe I'll turn one of those on next time we do one of these. I still have a couple of them floating around. I got a cool cat one
Yeah,
and dragon one.
there's ways to do it, and you literally it just ties to your webcam.
Yeah,
So it relies on your camera being good.
yeah, I got a pretty good camera.
So um, yeah, just the way the technology is pushed and what Epic is doing with this engine is amazing.
Yeah,
Not that anyone can use it because teams are getting killed left and right in this industry.
I don't know why, but the Microsoft one like kicked me in the jimmies. 9,000 people.
They had
You
great
know,
games. They
multiple games just nuked. Like,
Perfect Dark. My the game of my childhood, the thing I've been wanting them to do right since the 64. Uh, why did they have to kill that one?
John Romero going back to making FPS.
Right?
Like, yeah, that won't sell. This industry, man, like I don't know. I honestly at this point don't know what is going on because we're getting to that place of like, well, what is shipping this year?
You
Another
got
Call of Duty?
me.
No offense. I mean, I love my Raven friends, but like, so we're gonna get another Call of Duty, and we're gonna get a Madden, and
Yep.
you know,
Uh, Guaranteed 2K will release a NBA game.
right? Yeah,
Um, but that's it. Um, I No, man. If you want to talk consoles, I would say this is the we're seeing kind of the last death throes of consoles because
yeah. It's
the things
unfortunate
that are
because
shipping are on PC and they're
the
made by indie developers.
yeah. I mean, and it's a shame because you know what, dude? This we have a Switch too, right? One of my kids
Hmm.
picked it up. Uh, Mario Kart is an instant classic. It's the best one they've ever made. I honestly like. I played it, and you guys all know I've always wanted to do Fox Kart or something, right? And I've walked away from that game going, I don't think that another kart game ever needs to be made. It's that good. It's that good. It's like uh, I couldn't come up, I couldn't walk away with a list of like, oh, they could have done this better, they could have done that, right?
Yeah, how do you one up it, right?
How do you one up it, right? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
you know, the only way to one up it is like, hey, let's do a card game and make it like Twisted Metal.
Well, yeah, and then you're changing the genre because
Right.
that's my first thought too. I want a new Road Rash.
Yeah. Right. With
Give me a
maybe an
Road
adult
Rash in
version of
carts.
it, right? But it's like,
Yeah.
you know what? You can't walk away from those Nintendo games like feeling bad. Like they do an amazing job of just hitting you with a ridiculous amount of dopamine. And
Well,
yeah.
they also have the benefit of 30 years of nostalgia, right? Like I've been playing Mario Kart since the first one. My best friend had a Super Nintendo and we played the shit out of it.
Right.
Um,
Those flat maps and oh yeah.
yeah, and the 2.5D, yeah, it was incredible. Um, so they can kind of live off of that a little bit, where it's like even a game like the one, what was it, Super Mario Kart 8 or for the Wii? It
The
wasn't
not
a Wii U.
the Wii one was good. The one after that, which I think was for the 3DS,
Yeah,
really,
it's
the
like
8.
that game was not great, but it was still Mario Kart. Like you
Yeah, that
can
was
give
the
it a
weakest
pass.
of the that was the weakest of the modern ones,
Yeah,
definitely.
um, and yeah, so they can live off of that for a bit. But you're right. I mean, if you're talking about how to capture fun for the sake of fun, Nintendo is it. There are no other competition.
Yeah. You're right about an indie revolution, though, right?
Dude, I'm telling you.
The problem is, it's always the same problem. The problem is that where's the money? Because
Yeah.
here's the dirty secret, folks. The devs didn't make the money from all those games that got sold.
No.
So it's not like we're walking around with a fucking wheelbarrow full of cash.
Yeah.
And I was looking at my list, people I've worked with, people I've admired from a distance, and I had a moment that was like, we're all unemployed. We're all unemployed. Like the top tier of people from the last 20 years, there's a good majority of us that, what is it? Somebody said that the whole team that created Ghost Recon, they are all
Yeah.
unemployed right now. That's insane.
That entire team, and it's a small team. It's not the original creators. There's only 10 of them or something like that. And that my first thought was like, okay, let's get some money together. Let's build a game.
Right.
Like, I will grab those people. I just need someone to fund it.
Right. And
it's an easy conversation to have right now, where
right.
It's like,
but there's no, what we as we've been finding out this year is that there's no money out there.
Yeah.
And everybody's afraid to open the wallet because of volatility in the market and tariffs and name a panic, right?
Yeah.
And
and that's the crazy thing, because I could, with who you know and who I know, we could assemble one of the best teams. Just give me the money. Like, yeah. Where's the money to do that?
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's wild, man. It really is.
Yeah. I was looking, because we're on LinkedIn now, and I have artist friends of mine of shocking amount that have been looking at Short Fuse, looking at where I'm at, because they've all worked for me in the past, and these are guys that have done the original Unreal Tournament. These guys have been in the industry for a really long time, and it's like, how are they out of work? Right? How these are master craftsmen, right? These are not guys that build houses. These are the guys that build mansions, right? If they were carpenters or architects, right?
I'll tell you, man. So devs have been hit hard, artists have been hit harder, and I know it's because of AI, because because now people are starting to realize that AI can do some art, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter. They believe they can get something done.
Yeah, they're all going to come into a rude awakening, right? And that's the sad thing, is that everybody thinks that there's this placebo out there that's like, it's going to write you a good story, and it's going to be great levels, and it's going to blah, 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 blah. And it's like, look, procedural design's been around for 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's never beaten the handcrafted human element, right? Because we have taste. I got to step away for a second, or I'm going to kill this cat. Don't cancel me for that, everybody. I'm just letting them outside.
Yeah, dude, artists, I feel for you guys. It's been hard.
Say hi. This is Leia. She doesn't like to be held.
Devs, we got hit hard, but it kind of came early. And in development, there's always other places you can go. You can always jump back into web design, application development, high tech. There's avenues. Artists, man, you guys are sort of stuck. Unless you want to work in marketing, there's marketing or games
or film,
and those aren't easy markets to break into.
Yeah. My film artists are all still gainfully employed, right? Who have jumped from games. They're all using Unreal too. It's all the same product at this point, right? One of my old art directors is working on all the Star Wars stuff,
That's awesome.
and he does all those planetary backgrounds and all that right in Unreal. Should grab some of his files, actually, now that I think about it.
Steal.
Dave, if you're watching,
You
send me Coruscant.
know, yeah. Sorry, guys, that this is more of a downer episode. That's just kind of how we're feeling today.
Hmm.
I mean, we've been going through it now for 7 months.
Yep.
I really feel for those people who are just getting laid off or projects getting destroyed. Not even getting laid off. The worst thing is staying with a company who killed your product. Man, I feel for those Perfect Dark guys. Because Rare it was just starting to come back. It was starting to get some traction, and Microsoft up and kills it. I don't know how you can work for Microsoft again. I'd honestly tell them to piss off.
It's hard, man. If these decisions were being made because of we reviewed the game, we're 2 years in, it's trash, right? It's unfixable, and that happens.
Yep.
Then fine, right? Like that happens. It happens in film. It happens in TV. It happens in games.
Someone took a wrong turn a year ago and stayed on that path,
But yeah, when you're, 4 years in on an MMO, like the Bethsoft guys, girls, and you hear from the last review you did with Microsoft that they loved it, and then the whole team gets nuked and the project gets canceled.
Right.
That has nothing to do with quality, and it has nothing to do with, customers, and it has nothing to do with any of that. It's just I'm going to swear, some fucking bean counter, like trying to get this quarter's numbers down. And you can't think that way when it comes to the creative industries, right?
Right.
Films take 2 years to make. Games take 3 years to make or more, right? Yeah. You can't be like, there's been no quarterly return on this MMO that's been in production for 3 years. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
It's in production.
Right? Yeah, it's in production. All it is right now is a money sink, and look, I've done enough cost projections and bullshit like that in my career to know that I can make the numbers say whatever the fuck I want. Right? Yeah. So somebody made the numbers look like that's not going to be a successful game and sold it, and boom. It's not how you should be doing creative. Just sorry, folks. No. I'm very disappointed in you, Microsoft.
If
you were like, we're not going to do another console and we have to get rid of the hardware division, like that's a business decision, and I actually understand that. But when you're just like removing, games from the stable to make some, shareholder happy, you're running your business wrong, frankly.
Yeah. You know my opinion on MMOs. I think they are ultimately going to be a money sink no matter if you launch them or not. There's more MMOs dead in year one than any other game type.
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
But why wait 4 years of development to make that call? That's a call that should be made year one.
I interviewed to be on that team. It's got to be 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, they were probably in pre-production. That's how long some of these games take.
It was before I was at Superdraft, right? So it was ages ago. And yeah, that's how long these games take. But that's also why it's really cool to work on an MMO usually, is that there's job longevity, right? If you're able to build a critical market. And I know how you feel about them, but I'll counter with is that eventually MMOs are very profitable, right?
It can be, yeah.
It's just a slow trickle instead of like a windfall. So it doesn't feel like the rest of the industry, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're not getting day one sales. You're not getting 10 million day one,
yeah,
but
no.
you're getting, a million players probably paying $10 a month.
Or yeah, or more, right? Like what we, your loyal fans will spend a stupid amount of money on games, right?
Right.
We've seen it, across way more in mobile, oddly enough. But that same mentality works in the MMO space or in the
Oh
Call of
yeah.
Duty space. Like the games for service. That's why everybody chases the games for service. Is that it's, you know, if I, if I can get you for, buying 18 different types of camouflage or whatever, right? Uh,
I don't need to charge you monthly
oh,
if I know you're gonna spend that same amount or more on cosmetics.
yeah, I was getting yelled at by one of my neighbors the other day, um, because he's got kids that are 12, 13 years old,
Mhm.
and every Fortnite skin that comes out, it's like, Dad, 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 right? And he's like, I don't play. And he goes, and I think I've spent, $2,000 on this game over its lifetime. And I'm like, yeah, and look, devs, thank you for that, right? But
Yep.
you know, but he's like, you got to. We do have a generation coming up that is very used to, you know, having to buy stuff in a game. So anyway,
Have
but yeah, man,
you?
it's been a rough couple of years here, and it's like I'm like seriously like other than Me Too games, like oh I'm gonna Call of Duty 15, and I'm like what does Christmas look like this year, right? What does next year look like? Is there anything on the dock that's not a sequel? Uh,
Um,
there's a
I
lot of
mean,
indies, right?
there's a lot of indies, and that's where my brain is right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a new Chucklefish game. I'm looking for a new Concerned Ape game. There's a Chocolate Factory instead of Stardew Valley that I'm looking forward to. Um, just yeah, I'm putting all my money into indie games. I think that's where you're gonna see people jump to. Honestly, you're gonna find like the Romero prodigies sitting there building a game for $40,000 and
Oh,
launching it on
if,
Steam.
you already know my answer to this is that if you say build an action shooter, I I'm there. Let's go.
Yeah,
Right? Like I'll build you an old school shooter in a millisecond, basically because I want to play it.
yeah.
Right? Because I miss them terribly.
I would
Regenerating
love.
health and blah 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 and all this bullshit that came along in
Yeah,
the later 2000s. Sorry, I'm gonna old man soapbox here for a second. Give me pickups and power ups, baby.
I mean, there's a market. I,
Yep.
I think we're seeing the extraction shooter finally die.
Yeah,
We
never.
haven't seen an arena shooter come back, and I think it's about time.
Yep. Yep.
And this is where
I'm
something we can't talk about is, and
I'm shocked actually that like that CTF as a game mode died. Right? I played the I played the hell out of CTF for a decade. And then it just sort of disappeared as an option.
yeah, everyone went to honestly away from even team deathmatch to straight deathmatch.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
I
like
would be
the
interested. What about a CTF MOBA?
CTF MOBA, right? Or so here's the other one. Do you remember which one was it? UT 2K3 or 2K4 was one of
Uh-huh.
those two. Do you remember the assault mode? That was basically like you play as like one team is offense, team is defense, and you play like a
Yes.
story.
Yeah.
We played the
The
hell
that
out of
they
those.
also had it in one of my favorite maps for Unreal Tournament was the two opposing towers and just the long road between them.
Right.
And that was in 2001,
Yeah,
maybe even Game of the Year edition, so UT 99.
yeah.
But But yes,
Was
no,
there
that was
more than that? There was, wasn't there?
there was.
But like that disappeared. And like if you think about it in modern terms, right? Like because I was kind of like thinking this through as I was building some shit the other day, and I'm like, all those triggers of like you've reached an objective to move to the next thing is so trivially simple now, right?
Mhm.
Like even doing things like I remember like back in the day, it was like they had one that was like you were on a speeding train, right?
Yeah,
Right. And it's like everybody was like, wow. And because it was like, you know, you're on a train. Like, dude, that's so simple now and could be done on such an insane level because now you wouldn't even have to do the optical illusion, right? You could
right.
just
You could
make
actually just
you
do it.
could build the fucking train
Yeah,
on tracks. Anyway, that was like one of those modes that I was like, wow, you know, now people I think would gravitate to that because they're used to the like follow the stupid thing through the level, like in Overwatch or the MOBA style, right? Which is a little like a story, but like, you know, those mission ones were very much a story that, you
yeah.
know, not a great
I
story, but
I could also see. So you actually hit on something that I thought about when we were at Gala. Even everyone was interested in tower defense, wave defense.
mhm.
Flip that on its head. You're the wave, not the
I've
not the
thought about
defender.
that a few times. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the wave.
So back in the 80s, there was a game called Ogre.
Yep,
Um,
I know.
right. So one person plays the indestructible giant, you know, island-sized tank, and then everybody else controls armies. And I've wanted to build that style of game, like as an RTS, like forever, right? And one person basically gets to play an you know, an FPS. He's driving his little tank around, blowing everybody up, and everybody else
And
is just like trying to get their armies to kill it.
so yeah, you got. Huh. I actually wonder. I mean, that wouldn't be hard to do,
No, it's not
right?
hard to do. And like people, you know, I think it's one of those that's like kind of been forgotten over time, but it's like, dude, that was like one of those great, like I bought this for $5 tabletop games from the early 80s, you know, Steve Jackson games. You rock, Steve. Um,
So think about this for a minute. So you are so one person loads in. You build a lobby, and
mhm.
and the one person designated as the first person shooter player
The ogre, yeah.
just has a different camera and character.
Yeah.
This isn't an unsolved problem in
The
Unreal.
closest I've seen, now that I'm thinking about it, well, Evolve is a little close to it, right? But Evolve is everybody's an FPS.
Yes, you're
And there
just
was
playing
another game.
MonsterVerse.
What was the name of that game? Citizen something. And one, if you played it, you didn't see this if you played the single player game, but if you played multiplayer, one person played a giant, and everybody else played little dudes. And like, and when I'm saying giant, it's like giant. Like the other, if you were playing the giant, the other players look like gnats, right? Like you were like, and it was cool, but it was a little ahead of its time. The servers didn't really love it. It was really clunky, but it was a great idea. But yeah, man, like yeah, you're nowadays like I'm Godzilla, you're the army.
You're the yeah, or and you can even multiply that, right? It's one person's Godzilla and there's four different
Yeah,
armies.
yep.
You basically have StarCraft on one side and
Right, and it's like you could
Rampage
still
on
add
the
in
other.
all the things that like that people are used to with like an RTS or whatever, right? So it's like RTS, it's always about that tech tree, right? And like you could still do that for Godzilla. It's
Yeah,
just now it's like, you know, evolution or whatever, right? You put it, you know, I've got purple atomic breath that does radiation damage now or
right.
whatever, right? I oh yeah, I'd build that in a heartbeat. Game 17?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, the cool thing and sort of what drove this whole conversation is with the technology we have now and the way Unreal is going, that's not that's not a technical hurdle anymore. That's just a different camera and a different character.
Mhm.
That's blending a top-down RTS and one person with a first-person camera.
My last couple of places have been Unity shops,
Yeah,
and switching over, and I used Unreal long time ago. Um, but now, like, I'm I'm blown away on the daily of this technology. And the scary part is that I'm still conditioned to be like, no, don't use that. It's too shiny, right? Like, that's too.
definitely parts of that.
And yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, but I'm slowly being convinced that it's like, no, this is actually performant, like shockingly performant.
Yeah, that's why. So we've stayed on Unreal 5.5 for now 5 months, four
Right.
months. And that is only because of my fear of the new, right? Because if you're in Unreal Land, if you're in Godot Land, the last thing you do is update. That that you start a project on a version, you end that project on a version. You
Yeah.
do not upgrade. But I was reading some stuff. I was talking to some people that I know, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's the concern? What are you what are you afraid of?" And I was like, "Yeah, outages and shit." And they're going, "People are already building games with this and shipping them. Like, there's no fear here."
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some upgrade pain. Like, I've already found some stuff that isn't gonna work out.
Whatever.
Um,
But you always run into that.
Yeah, so like I gotta walk some stuff back, but that's not painful. It's not like a huge amount. The
Right.
maps still load and everything. All the character stuff works. It's just the nitpicky networking stuff that honestly, it's because they moved some stuff to internal plugins. Like
Mm.
they wrote solutions where we were using third party for.
Yeah. Just this scene right here. To do
I
this
love the water.
in Unity, basically you wouldn't do this in Unity. Sorry, Unity, but
I mean,
the
you could.
reality, it did not like to do simulation like this. Yeah, sure, it could do it, but then when you put it into a project and used it in the game, it would lose its shit.
Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna say the wild thing is that you wouldn't do this in Unity. Like this would be a three-person project to get water to act like this, where you did it in less than a day.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, less than a day and being fairly reckless about it. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I want really choppy waves, right? So like I really kind of screwed with it because I wanted this kind of a feel to it, because if you're gonna have water, man, like why have calm water?
Right.
Do you and like, oh, and then buoyancy, and I don't have anything buoyant, and this is kind of a new testy map that I'm fucking around with. But buoyancy is literally just a property. Like, I'm buoyant. And the engine goes, okay, what? What? I
Yeah.
mean, you can
That
adjust the weight and all that stuff, and but like, it's not like, let's put it this way. I'm one of the test things I did was I made a little river and I threw a bunch of crap into it, basically blocks. I told them to be buoyant, and they went with the current. I didn't do any programming, right?
thank God.
What? Thank God, right? But like, what? That's like you have a programmer write that stuff for 2 weeks, usually. And it's just like, no, here it is. Oh, and you're a designer, so here's the point and click buttons to make it work.
Here's the
Um,
checkbox.
yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. No, they've really thought of. They keep the game designer in mind and the artist in mind. They
Right.
really and they don't really cater to the developer because God working in C++. Ugh.
Oh, it's good for you.
Basically, I'm just converting anything that I write in C++. I'm just making it Blueprint exposed so that I can write it and I can draw a graph.
And somebody like me is starting to learn blueprints because it ties into the level design stuff.
Yeah,
Right. So like I've been screwing around with a couple of blueprints on how to do layering for like making a layering material for landscapes. Right.
yeah,
And really it's just like, oh, I want that here and this blah blah blah. And it just follows rules like you would expect. And I would never be able to write this from scratch, but grabbing somebody else's blueprint and then adjusting it for my existence is
yeah.
basically exactly what I would do in Unity with a prefab,
Right.
right? But far more.
But well, now you have access to the code, so you can say things like, "Hey, if I tell you, hey, I need this variable set when
Mhm.
this happens," you just go, "Oh, set variable. Here it is, the name. Give it this value,"
Yep.
and you just freaking drag a line to it, and and then it exposes it to me so that I can take in that value.
Yeah. Yeah. So like and just so people are like in case they're wondering, because you saw some of the stuff that we did last week, but the experiment for me this week was okay, building a traditional level is not hard, but let's see what landscape does just because um because it could be useful for us, and the early returns are, oh, this is why everybody's making open world sandbox games now, is because building on landscape frankly is inherently easier
Where
than
you don't
building a
have to draw the
traditional.
planes anymore. You don't have the fall through.
Well, yeah,
You know?
there's a whole bunch of things, right? And it's
Yeah,
like, oh, I need to make a road, I just smooth it out, and then like, but this is where that layering comes in, right?
yeah.
But I'm like, so once you have your layering set up right and like the way you want it, it's like it will not be hard to like get something looking really good. Um, and it's kind of fun, to be honest. I mean, it's a topographic tool. You're just like, right?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like going back to well, I guess the old SimCity games had it
yeah,
where
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you could
exactly. It
draw it and you
works
could
exactly.
dig and
Works exactly the same.
yeah,
Some more there's some more sophisticated tools in there, but
yeah.
which is also really cool, right? Like you can plane shave and you can do all sorts of fun stuff. Um, but yeah, it's sort of like I'm coming around on being like, all right, maybe we don't do this as a tiling thing. Maybe we just build a landscape. I don't. I don't know yet. I'll be honest. I'm
I
definitely going that way.
I it's one of those things, right? It's gonna save us time. It's currently the default, which is I found amazing. I cracked open a new level today and all the open world settings, that's
Yeah.
all default now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They
Oh
don't
yeah. Yeah.
want you to build isolated levels.
No.
That's not the way that they want you to build. So no wonder, like you said, no wonder people are doing it. No wonder everyone gravitates towards open world because that's what the default is. Um, my opinion on open world is that you still have to contain it. It has to be a very tight experience.
Yeah. And
If you have players walking through nothingness, you've lost me.
and yeah, and there's ways to constrain that, right? And
Yeah,
so like I have a couple of games that have constrained open world that I've
right.
been like playing the shit out of this week because I'm looking exactly that. Like, how do they make it feel really natural that that's the barrier, and you're not like, and you never walk up to it. I mean, so the game is State of Decay 2, and it's really interesting that you never walk up to the edge of the map in that game.
Right.
They do a great job of containing it all down, and then the edge of the map is always on a slope, always like a mountain range or cliff face or something like that. but they make it natural enough that you're never like walking up going, "Can I get out?" Like you're never doing that thing.
What happens when I jump off the
Right.
map?
Right. And they actually and of course now I've done it because I've, I want to see. But they've made it pretty, pretty player proof.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, they've done an actually masterful job of like you keep getting focused down into the map, the fun stuff, and not like looking at the edges, right?
Yeah.
So
Man, if there's a tell for a bad game, it is players running into nothingness or just going over a hill and there's just blank.
my
Um,
before people really figured this out, um, there was Motocross Madness. I think that's the name of it.
ooh,
Rainbow
yeah,
Games a million years ago.
yeah.
Um,
They made a monster truck game that I
yeah, yeah,
love.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So Motocross Madness, and it was like in the desert, right? And they had cliff faces. And if you were badass, you could actually get up over the cliff face. But if you got up there, what they did on their barrier, on their invisible wall, was launch you like half a mile in the air into the middle of the map, just like it was so cool, totally gamey. But it was like we would do it just like we would all start playing multiplayer and do it as like
yeah.
how far can you go?
How far am I gonna get launched?
Yeah.
See if I can get some thrust built up. Yeah,
All
man.
right. Well,
I mean, that's kind of where my brain has been
yeah.
mostly. Is just sort of figuring out how we approach this if we're using the tool the correct way,
Right.
um, cleaning up a bunch of stuff, just trying to set myself up to where next week it is just all building. Also, I said last night that I would share the archetype stats that I have. I will do that right now, actually.
Yeah, you know what, dude? This whole time I haven't had chat on. Is there anybody in there?
Someone
Oh,
said that
hey
this,
Reaper.
yeah, this has been more of a actual just
This is
bullshit
the
talk
therapy
than
session.
kind of a therapy session. I'm feeling it, man, and you are too. I know.
Yeah.
It's been one of those days, um, one of those weeks, kind of. I am gonna share out what I'm thinking for stats. Uh, fortunately, it's gonna be relatively meaningless to you unless you know the system. So, eh, but we can talk about it. I'll do that in chat. I gotta find the file where the numbers are and make sure that I'm right. Character archetypes. That's the one. And
Any community questions this week? We've been like heads down, so I'm not going to be
think
surprised if there isn't any.
um, John Fuji's asking about Plants vs Zombies level.
It's a cool
No,
idea.
I don't know that that's the vibe, but
I don't hate it.
I mean we could do something similar, right? Like
Yeah,
we could throw the player behind the turret and
or
make
just
him defend a house.
kind of go with that vibe of killer plants and
I
stuff,
played
right?
the shit out of that game, man. I loved it.
Now that's a good tower defense game, right?
Yes,
That tower, that's so good that my mom still plays it. And
but I
she's
wanna
76.
I wanna play as zombies.
You want to play as zombies? I
That's what
want
I
a
want. I want to attack the plants and the people.
great little soundtrack in that game too.
Dude, way not yeah, way cool.
Yeah.
Here you guys go. You can have fun with this. Stats for the strong. Okay.
Let's see. I was listening to the Command and Conquer soundtrack the other day.
Which one?
The first one.
The original? That's a good one. I have my opinions on all the others, but the first one, incredible soundtrack. You're gonna get us freaking.
The cat's like, what the hell? Yeah, that's got to be one of my favorite soundtracks. It made me want to build things.
Oh, dude,
I'm a
it really
mechanical
does.
man.
Ah, there you go. There you go. There's the first 3 archetypes.
All right. Anything else we want to cover? Oh, look at you putting it in your code thing.
Yeah, that's the only format I have right now. I could show a character screen, but
I can't read that. I'm only kidding.
Throw it into ChatGPT, have it explain it to you.
All right. Anything else we want to cover?
I'm good, man. I want to actually, I do. I want to do a quick pass on the community suggestions because somebody called us out for not looking at them.
Oh, the suggestion channel. Right.
Weapons for Mario Kart. That is a good way to get sued. If Nintendo, they do DMCA takedowns for streamers streaming the original Mario. They care about their IP way too much. Do not fuck with Nintendo.
Yeah, they've destroyed full ecosystems of people like the Smash Brothers competitive leagues and stuff. Yeah, you don't play with them.
They do not like the community. They are not about the community. They're about their product. Yeah, we are not touching anything Nintendo.
But I get where if you're going for the vibe, like instead of shells, we do something else. Sure, right? Like I'm all for that kind of stuff, but right now we're going to focus a little bit more traditional for the moment. But yeah, eventually once we get everything stood up, then we can be like, okay, we got all these cool things that we've built. Now, how do we personalize it for us and make it weird and fun and stuff?
Yeah. A lot of this stuff is just, and I keep commenting, it's way too in the future. I mean, we're talking about itemization and crafting, and that we're not even close.
I can't even think about that right now. It's such a big system, and it wouldn't be for minimal viable product anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not there.
I was actually going to speak to that because, like, because I was reading some of that stuff, and so one of the things, like, a great lesson to learn is to like watch the way like Diablo 4 has been doing a rollout, and they're 2 years in now, and they just came out with basically the Herodric Cube this month, right? Which was the thing that like you take 3 things and you put them together and you mash them, and they're basically just getting there now, 2 years in, right? So it's like, take your time, get your minimal viable product. Like all that stuff has time to build and grow, and
yeah, it's about getting the movement right. It's about getting the initial actions right. Do doors open correctly?
We're not going to
master all that first, and then you can worry about everything else.
No doors.
No ladders.
No
ladders.
No ladders. No doors. No walls.
No walls. No game. No world.
We're just gonna do planes.
You'll just infinitely fall.
That's it. I'm about to fall asleep one.
Yeah.
What's the name of your game? Man Without a Parachute.
Okay.
It ends the
Actually,
same
though,
every way.
actually though, if somebody would play it, if we put a web game out there of it's just you falling to your death and you finding ways to survive falling from an airplane,
Right.
people would play the shit out of it.
They probably would.
And then we could turn into a gambling game. Does he survive?
Well, isn't that the thing that they wanted us to build, the numbers go up thing? We
Yes.
wrote that in a
Yes.
couple
They
hours.
wanted us to once again copy something that was already successful because obviously if fucking Gala makes it, it's gonna be twice as successful, right? Fucking idiots. I will never. I don't have
And
anything to say about those people anymore, other than they are morons.
I think our solution to that was actually the parachute thing, wasn't it? Weren't we
It,
just gonna like
yeah,
parachute a box?
it was actually the opposite of what everyone else was doing. Yeah, it was a plane crash.
Right. Right.
Oh my god, I,
Why are you putting graphics to it?
I would rather be.
Dentist chair.
Well,
Yeah.
that was that was a that was the fantastic point in my time there where I was like, oh, you guys really don't want to make games. You really just want to copy people and assume that you, the Grand Eric, will know how to market it the best so that you take over the
Carl.
market. Yeah, Carl. Oh my God. I This is recorded and I am so glad that it is. Fuck those guys.
He was like, why don't you have Telegram on your phone?
Telegram
I'm
is
not
for
a terrorist.
scammers. No one in Web3 can ever convince me that Telegram is for anything but scamming.
Or terrorist.
Scamming and questionable meetups with people who might not be the right age.
No comment on that one.
I haven't commented on either. I just know that that's what Telegram's for. Scumbags.
You want to make Telegram games? No.
No. And clearly no one else did either because as far as I know that has died.
Oh, of course it's died. It was the shiny object for a month.
It was, yeah.
Look, we got Bob. Yes. All right. My cat's cute. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. Man, yeah, sorry guys. This turned into not so much of a fun one, but
Yep.
it got me talking about the topic that I hate the most.
Right.
Layoffs and companies with shitty practices.
Yeah. Doing layoffs.
Yeah, doing layoffs.
All right. On that note, hey, but we're enjoying Unreal. So
yeah,
that's something. And
dude, it's so much fun. I'm having fun with it.
we'll do a nice show until next week. I swear,
Yeah.
guys. Like, we got a little sidetracked. We'll take leaks.
I just sent you the whole character stats for the 3 archetypes. That's a leak enough.
Right. And so here's the question. If you watched any of the beginning of this, like, if we don't go voxel, what do you guys think of that?
That's a good question. Maybe I'll put that up to the community.
Yeah.
Would you still love me if we weren't voxel?
Right.
Because there's some options there that are staring me right in the face. And it starts with metahuman.
It does.
Oh my god. Reaper, the first 20 minutes, you didn't miss a whole lot. You missed a demo of metahuman and how much I love it. And I think you missed some bullshit about firings in the industry.
Yeah, we talked about the Microsoft thing a bit, and then we talked about the metahuman plugin that Matt's been poking at, and I've been watching a couple things on too, and I can't tell if it's awesome or really scary. It's one of those two.
It's really scary.
I could make a fake me,
You could.
right?
Maybe I'll do that.
Go ahead. Here, take a screenshot.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are my eyebrows. All right. Can you get it? It will do this.
It will.
All right. I always remember on Thursday, I'm like, crap, I gotta shave. All right.
That's what I did here.
I noticed that you got a haircut. You're trying
Finally.
to get it as short as mine.
Well, I got it. Football season. We are a little bit away.
You got to
So
look
I
like a
gotta
football
be-
coach.
Yep, I got to be in regulation. So
Right.
working for a private school, man, they don't mess around.
Yeah.
No hair on the ears, no hair on the neck. Mostly clean shaven. I can get away with this, but
Can you do the mustache? I mean,
No.
come on, like really?
I can't. No,
Oh, you can't.
I can't. She's
one
still-
of my kids is rocking the porn stash right now. It's pretty funny.
My dad also coaches with us. He's been an offensive line coach for 20 years now. He was doing it when I was a kid. And he has the whole handlebars.
Oh, the handlebar.
70s mustache, yeah.
Awesome.
And he's the only one on staff.
I've left it a couple, and Marcy's like, mm-mm. Like, stay away from me. Fucking serial killer.
Serial killer.
Yeah, I always just come back to this. All right.
Never mind. Never mind.
And on that note, later, folks. All right, man. We'll
Just
talk
another-
to you all next week.
Yeah. See, it's sad that you know exactly where I was
Oh,
going.
yeah, I know where you're going as soon as I did that.
Uh,
All right, we'll talk
we
to you
spent
later.
too much time together.
I guess so.
Uh,
All right, later, all.